She looked at me with soft, tired eyes, eyes that had seen nearly a century of life, and said something that shook me. He never stopped choosing me, even when I didn't feel lovable. She was 92 years old. That one sentence changed everything I thought I knew about love. And if you're a man over 50, it could change everything for you too. Whether you're married, divorced, or just starting over, this is the one truth no one ever tells us, but every woman over 50 wishes we understood. Because real love after 50 isn't gone. It's not over, but it does require something most men have never been taught. Stick with me till the end, because I'm going to share one daily habit that can revive connection and bring emotional closeness back, no matter how long it's been missing. Let's start with a common belief, one that keeps so many of us stuck and disconnected in our later years. It's the idea that love fades with age, that passion dies, that women stop caring, that once we hit 50, 60, or 70, it's too late to change anything in our relationships. Sound familiar? Many men I've spoken to, even good, loyal, well-meaning men, have quietly accepted this myth. They think, she's just different now, or we've grown apart. And so they emotionally check out. They stop trying, stop talking, stop showing affection, not out of malice, but out of resignation. But here's the truth. Love doesn't fade with age. It evolves. Yes, the kind of love we feel at 25 is different from the love we need at 55. And that's a good thing. Because at this stage of life, we don't just want surface-level connection. We want meaning, safety, understanding, someone who gets us. Women, especially in midlife, are no longer looking for grand romantic gestures. They're longing for emotional connection, for a partner who listens, who shows up fully, who sees beyond the surface. I once spoke to a man in his 60s who said, "We live in the same house, but we're in two different worlds." He loved his wife, but he didn't know how to reach her anymore. What he didn't realize is this: emotional distance is not inevitable. It's not a sign the relationship is over. It's a sign that something needs attention. And that attention doesn't come from trying harder or being more romantic. It comes from understanding what real connection looks like after 50 and how to build it with simple, intentional acts. That's what we're going to uncover next. Because once you see what women truly need in this chapter of life, you'll never look at love the same way again.
It happened at a simple family gathering. Nothing fancy, just a Sunday afternoon, warm tea, soft music, laughter in the background. I was seated next to an elderly woman, her back a little bent, her voice barely louder than a whisper. Her name was Margaret. She was 92 years old, widowed, married for 67 years. I asked her a question I never expected would leave a mark on my heart. What was the secret? How did you stay in love for nearly 7 decades? She smiled, paused for a moment, and said gently, "He learned to hear the silence." At first, I didn't understand, but over the weeks that followed, her words echoed in my mind. He learned to hear the silence. And suddenly, it hit me. She wasn't talking about reading her mind or being perfect. She was talking about emotional attunement, about being present enough to feel what she couldn't always say out loud. You see, most men are wired to solve problems. We hear our partners say something's wrong and we jump into action. Here's what you should do. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Why are you upset about that? But what many women want, especially as they grow older, isn't a fix. It's emotional safety. They want to know, can I share my thoughts without being judged? Will you sit with me even when I'm quiet? Do you notice when I'm not okay even if I don't say it out loud? That's what Margaret meant. Her husband didn't always have the right words, but he stayed close. He noticed when she seemed off. He didn't always rush to solve, Sometimes he just held her hand and said, "I'm here." And that, gentlemen, is more powerful than 1,000 solutions. Because after 50, love isn't about fixing each other. It's about feeling safe with each other. It's about hearing the silence and choosing to lean in, not walk away. Let me tell you something that may surprise you. What women over 50 really want isn't expensive gifts or constant compliments. It's not fancy vacations, flowers every week, or grand romantic gestures, though those things can be nice. What they truly long for is emotional presence. Not just you being in the same room, but being with them, with your heart, with your attention, with your intention. As we age, the emotional needs of women shift. In their 20s or 30s, it might have been excitement and chemistry. But after 50, they're craving stability, connection, and someone who really sees them. It's in the small things, the subtle moments, like when she's sitting quietly at the kitchen table, not saying a word. Do you pause, look at her and ask gently, "How are you really?" Not the automatic, "How was your day?" but a real intentional check-in. When she sighs after a phone call with the kids, do you ask, "What's on your mind?" Or do you retreat into your own world? These moments matter more than you think, because they say, "I see you. I care about what you feel. You don't have to be okay all the time with me." Women over 50 often carry more emotional weight than they show. They worry about aging, health, adult children, the loss of parents, their role as a partner, and sometimes they just need to feel like someone notices. Your eye contact, your gentle reassurance, your validation, those are love languages. A touch on the back when she's doing the dishes, a quiet, "Thank you for everything you do," or simply sitting beside her during her favorite show. Not for the show, but for her. This is what makes her feel loved. This is what keeps her heart open. Because when a woman over 50 feels emotionally seen and safe, that's when she blossoms. That's when she trusts you deeper than ever before. And that, my friends, is how real love after 50 stays alive.
So now the big question is, how do we rebuild emotional intimacy, especially if it's been missing for a while? The good news? It doesn't take hours of therapy or grand, overwhelming changes. What it takes is consistency and intention. Let me walk you through a few simple steps that can completely shift the energy in your relationship, whether you've been together for decades or are starting something new after 50. Step 1. Create a daily connection ritual. Every day, take just 1 to 2 minutes to be fully present with her. No phones, no distractions, no TV in the background, just the two of you. Look her in the eyes and ask, "How are you feeling today?" Not, "How was your day?" but how she's feeling. That small question, when asked with genuine care, opens the door to emotional intimacy. Step 2. Replace problem-solving with empathetic listening. If she shares something stressful or emotional, don't jump in to fix it. Instead say, "That sounds really tough. I can't imagine how that made you feel. I'm glad you told me." Empathetic listening builds trust. It shows her that she can come to you, not just for answers, but for comfort and support. Step 3. Express appreciation regularly. Make it a habit to say things like, "I noticed how patient you were with the kids today," or "I love when you smile at me like that," or "I appreciate how you always make this place feel like home." These words remind her that she's valued, not just for what she does, but for who she is. Bonus tip: emotional check-ins after conflict. Even after small disagreements,
Check in with her. Say, "Did I make you feel unheard?" Or, "Was there something I missed emotionally?" This builds emotional safety faster than any apology. Remember, rebuilding intimacy isn't about changing who you are. It's about showing up with heart every single day. Because when a woman feels emotionally connected, she softens, she trusts, and that love you once thought was fading, it comes alive again. More honest, more powerful, and more lasting than ever before. Let me share something simple but life-changing. In a world filled with text messages, emojis, and quick replies, the power of a handwritten letter has never been greater. And the older we get, the more those written words matter. Why? Because they last. Because they come from stillness, not speed. And because, unlike spoken words that can get lost in the noise, a letter stays. It gets held, reread, remembered. I once met a man, 62 years old, who'd been married for over 30 years. For the past 20, the spark had dimmed. They barely spoke beyond the essentials. One day, he sat down and wrote her a letter, not to apologize, not to explain, but simply to say what he saw in her and what he missed. He wrote, "I still remember the day you laughed so hard at our old beach trip. Your eyes were brighter than the sun. I miss that laugh. I miss us. And I want to find that connection again if you'll meet me halfway." She cried when she read it, not because it was poetic, but because it was real. That letter cracked open a space between them that had been closed for years. It didn't fix everything overnight, but it reopened the door. And you can do the same. Here's how to write a love letter that heals and reconnects. Number 1, start with a memory, something only you and she share. Number 2, express what you miss, not what's wrong. Number 3, say something you've noticed and appreciated lately. Number 4, end with a hope, a small wish to reconnect, grow, or simply share more quiet moments together. You don't need to be a writer. You just need to be honest. Write it by hand, leave it on her pillow, or mail it, even if you live in the same house. Because giving a letter says, "I took time for you." And receiving one, that reminds her, "I still matter to him." At this age, love doesn't shout. It whispers in the form of thoughtful words, etched on paper and into the heart.
So let's bring it all together. After everything we've talked about, from silent signals to handwritten letters, there's one truth that ties it all together. Emotional connection is the foundation of lasting love after 50. Not romance, not physical attraction, not even shared interests. It's connection. The ability to say, without words, "I see you. I care. You matter to me." And that truth, most men miss it. Not because we don't care, not because we're cold, but because we were never taught that emotional presence is strength. That being tender, aware, and open-hearted isn't weakness, it's courage. We were taught to provide, to protect, to be strong. But what women over 50 really want is your presence, your patience, your heart. The kind of love that says, "I'm still here. I still choose you. I still see the woman you are. And I love her." I'll never forget what Margaret told me, that 92-year-old woman who lived through nearly 7 decades of marriage. She said, "Love after 50 is quieter, but so much deeper." And that's the kind of love you deserve, the kind she deserves. But it starts with one choice: to show up, fully, with your heart open every single day. So if you felt distant, if things have gone quiet,
Don't give up. You're not too old. It's not too late. And love is far from over. Because the truth is, love after 50 isn't dead. It's just waiting for you to show up and make it real. And you can start today with a question, a letter, or even just holding her hand in silence and letting her know she's still the one. If this message touched your heart, even just a little, share it with someone who needs to hear it, a brother, a friend, or maybe even your partner. Because too many good men out there are walking around thinking love after 50 is over, when really, it's just waiting for a new kind of attention. And I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's one thing you've learned about love, relationships, or emotional connection in your 50s or 60s? Your wisdom might help another man who's right where you were a few years ago. And trust me, I read every single one of your comments, because this community, it's about growing together. And if you're not following yet, make sure you do, because in the next video, I'm going to reveal the 3 things every woman over 50 secretly wishes her man would stop doing today. You don't want to miss it. Remember, real love doesn't fade with age. It just gets deeper, quieter, and more meaningful than ever before. But only if you choose to show up. And you just did. So thank you.